So I've got a bunch of questions about this double neck, which I finished building about a month ago, and I wanted to quickly jump through those. The first one was why a bass plus a guitar? It's true that most double necks are usually a 12 string plus a 6 string. Maybe you get a fretted bass and a fretless bass. Those really make sense in a band context. But what I was going for was specifically an instrument for looping. So I'm never actually playing the two instruments at the same time. I'm going between one neck and the other. But because I have them on a stereo jack, I have them coming into potentially separate effects and also separate tracks for the looper. LaFinkel asks, mini precision? Short scale in other words? Yeah, it's a mini precision. It's a 28.6 inch scale, which is from the nut to the saddles. The Strat is a standard length Strat, which is 25.5 inches. And the combination of those two meant that I could line them up here at the nuts and then have kind of an offset body shape. So the bass kind of nicely fit on the bottom, and let me round this curve off. Bruno Suzzolino says, finally someone did it right. I never understood in these guitar and bass double necks why they always put the bass as the top necks. Thanks for that. Yeah, that's actually something I thought about a lot. One of the big reasons I put the guitar on top is that I was going to play it a lot more. And you don't realize that playing a bar chord on the bottom neck, it really puts your wrist at a very bad angle. It's very uncomfortable to do this. It's much better up here. Edgar Mezovid says, nice, this double neck is still lighter than my Plexi Dan Armstrong copy. It came out at 9 pounds, 5 ounces. That's without the strap. And I worked really hard on that. There's a lot of weight relief under the pick guards. I think I could do a little bit better. There's room here to take a little bit more wood out. And if I extended the top pick guard, way out onto the horn here, I certainly could remove a lot of wood from the guitar side. But weight was a major concern because, if this thing weighed 12 or 13 pounds, it was just never going to get any use. Guitar Z Leo says, very nice build, my friend. I would only choose a solid color instead of transparent, just to hide the many different pieces of wood. Yeah, the reason I didn't paint it, besides the fact that I don't have a paint booth, is that paint is surprisingly heavy. When I stripped the original Stratocaster body, it saved 5 ounces. So if you think about a slightly larger body like this one, if I had painted this, that's about 1/3 of a pound, maybe even as much as 1/2 pound, just from having primer, paint, and a top coat. So by doing a gel stain, it was essentially free. I mean, maybe it added 1 or 2 grams. It was almost undetectable. The Geek Dude 67 says, very impressive. How does it feel hanging on you? It feels pretty good. I just got a new strap that's padded. I'm hoping that that's going to help a little bit because I am used to about a 7-pound guitar, so this is a bit more. The guitar is a little high for what you expect, and the bass is, a little low. That's kind of one of the realities of a double neck. But generally it's come out pretty well. I'm really happy with the controls. They came out, very cleanly. And the nice thing is, you don't have 4 identical knobs. So immediately you can recognize the Stratocaster knobs and the P-Bass knobs, and you know exactly what you're reaching for. So what about neck dive? Yeah, it does have some. It turns out that the tuners just add so much weight, and because they're all this far out on the headstock, it's very hard to counterbalance. Ideally you would have the guitar horn would stick out further, right? I did mount the button for the guitar strap on this side fairly high, and that was to keep it from rotating too much on me, because originally the bass one would have been about there. So that did help, and having some friction in the strap helps it to keep it from sliding. Gravel Trees asks, how much did the actual amount of effort compare to your initial expectations? I would say it was harder. I kind of understood what most of the steps were, but there were 2 big exceptions to that. The first one was here on the back, where I've got this circular inlay, and that's because the bass, right, which is the bottom half here, actually had a belly cut from the factory. So that was a scoop here, and then the pickup cavity from the guitar, those two were actually meeting in the middle in a way that you could see straight through the body. And I didn't anticipate that when I glued it together. So the time that it took to come up with a solution, to route out a circular portion here, and then to make a circular inlay and inset that and sand it flat, that added quite a bit. And the other thing, of course, if you've seen the build video, was kind of setback I had with the gel stain, which dried too quickly. And then I had to strip all of that off with steel wool and sandpaper, and that just took forever. Does it have sympathetic resonance? Yeah, it does. For those of you not familiar, what it means is when you're playing the strings on one neck, it actually causes the strings on the other neck to vibrate by themselves. And it's worse if you're using a compressor, for example, on the bass, or if you're using a high gain sound on the guitar, because you're amplifying that. So you can definitely hear some background noise from the other neck. That is just one of the problems with the double neck. In fact, I can put a clip-on tuner onto either headstock and I can tune the other instrument. So at the moment it's something I'm just going to live with. The traditional solution to that is to have a three-way switch. I'm kind of reluctant to do that because it's one more thing to forget. I tried doing the equivalent of that with foot pedals, where essentially I'm muting the neck that I'm not playing using MIDI. And I found that I just forgot to do it a lot. So at the moment I'm leaving both necks on all the time. Manzy Up 3R says, "This is pretty awesome. It's not the worst sound either." Thanks for that. Yeah, I actually just used the pickups that it came with just to get something playing. That was the goal. So I actually am not a big fan of humbuckers, and I don't really like bridge pickups. So I've already ordered new pickups for it. I'm going to go to single coils and kind of do like a middle and a bridge pickup as if it were a Stratocaster. Just the two of those wired in parallel. So that would be like a position 2 on a Strat. And it'll be hardwired that way, no selector. And finally, will you build another one? Yeah, I'd like to. I mean, the goal of this one was really an experiment. It was, do I enjoy playing a double neck? Can I handle doing that while looping? Can I get the weight and the ergonomics right so that I'm willing to gig with it? And so I'm just learning a lot about it. I think it would be cool to build another one, maybe semi-hollow, potentially also headless. As I said before, that's really the way to go in terms of reducing weight and balance. I think a headless could probably get under 8.5 pounds, which would be amazing. Yeah, I'm going to spend some time on this and see how much I like it, and then kind of take everything I learned and roll it forward.